I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lauren Kling, along with Kevin Allen. Welcome to another episode of AfterBuzz Presents What We Do in the Shadows, the After Show, Season 2, Episode 7, The Return. That is the longest title in the whole world, and I meant every word of it. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I was LOLing to this episode in particular more than I think I have all season.
Oh, wow.
Between Colin and Simon's gang, the names of some of Simon's gang, it was pretty funny. Also, welcome everybody in the chat. We are excited to have all of you there on the chat. If you're like, wait, chat, what's that mean? Well, all y'all who are watching us live on our YouTube live channel, this show and all the AfterBuzz after shows, we air them live on our YouTube channels. You can jump on to chat and talk with us. Also, leave us comments if you're watching it after this show is already aired. If you're listening to us on our podcast-only versions, I don't know what to tell you. No, I'm just kidding. You can also leave comments. Give us 5 stars. Let us know that you love what we do. Now that I got that out of the way, Kevin, let's talk about this show and the return of Mr. Kroll himself, Kroll. Can't even pronounce his name. Simon the Devious.
Yes, that's right. Quite the return. Not usually when someone makes a big entrance, big return. Character comes back from earlier, it's this grand gesture, but he was already king of his little nightclub world, so his return is a grand one in the complete opposite sense, that he has gone as far down in his ranks as he possibly can, literally living in the bowels of the sewers.
Right. Now, we last saw him in season 1, episode 4, Manhattan Nightclub, or Manhattan, as some people refer to it. He owned the nightclub called the Sassy Cat Club, if you remember that. There was the big explosion. Simon's crew died, except for a couple of them. And now basically he's back. What I love is Lazlo and Nadja are coming out of the talkies.
Oh, yeah, the talkies. Yeah, they can enjoy movie with sound and pop music and all that stuff.
Right. Nadja's like, I like to read while I'm watching a movie.
My initial thought was like, so this camera crew that's been following you around, like, you must know what they're doing, right? So I wonder if they're totally cool with normal modern television, but when it comes to a night out at the cinema, that's where they want things to be like they used to be.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't tire of the various shows that use that pseudo documentary where the characters are kind of breaking the fourth wall and looking at the cameras. I think if the writing's good, it still works.
What I love about this show is they address the cameras frequently, and they make nods to the cameras being there. Like every now and again, a vampire will turn to attack the cameraman, or that my favorite line so far, "Cameraman 2, put your neck in my mouth." Like they'll address them every once in a while, just to remind us that they're well aware that they're there, and we shouldn't act like it's a normal TV show.
Right. Now we saw this with The Office. That was kind of the big recent show. Boy,
it'd be the one that brought it into the modern.
Right. Yeah. Can imagine other shows like Friends, where Chandler would keep looking over at the camera, to give a little wink. That would be awkward. Totally awkward. All right. So
on that note, props to the cameraman for getting down the filth. This episode. What? Walking through the Pooh River.
Oh, that's right.
For doing
that's
that.
Right.
He's a legitimate character on this show, and he deserves some acknowledgement.
He or she, you know what? They do not get enough credit. So a shout out and a tip of the hat to all of the camera people who are doing this documentary called What We Do in the Shadows. Yes. So we've got Simon, who's returned. We know that he's not there just out of pity. He wants the hat. He wants Lazlo's hat, which I think is so funny because it just causes bad luck.
Yeah, that was my second thought when he reared his ugly head again. Simon popping back up out of nowhere. My first thought was how nice it was to get a montage of his misfortune from the prior episode. That was fun to revisit. But my second one was, oh God, it's going to be about this hat, which is funny. I like seeing the hijinks the hat ensues, but I kind of side with Nadja in that, oh, this stupid hat, would you please let it go? Like,
Right.
what is so great about this thing?
Right. Well, what we've seen before in previous episodes is Nadja's living with two boys, two idiotic boys. I mean, there are more, but basically that's what she's surrounded by.
Oh, yeah.
This feels so much like the various dorm rooms and houses I lived in college, where you just have the weirdest people as your roommates.
Well, and apparently they have a roommate we never knew about all this time.
That's right. Who was working on lyrics. Yeah. So we didn't know that Lazlo had actually turned Elvis into a vampire in the 70s.
Yeah. And every time they call house meeting, he's just been so focused on his work that he hasn't bothered to come up.
So does that mean the movie I can't even pronounce it, Baba Hotep is totally farcical? That's not what happened to Elvis? Did you ever?
Well, how much of the movie took place at night? It's been a while.
A lot. I don't know.
It could be based on true events.
We're getting into Comic-Con panel nerdiness, going off topic a lot and getting into something that people are like, what are you talking about? But hey, that's what we do here. I love some of the comments you guys are saying is, yeah, Lazlo turned Elvis into a vampire. We had some of Simon's vampire friends that return later on. Simon's expecting all of his friends to basically kick Lazlo's ass to steal the hat.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder about this whole master plan that he's had all along. Like, he really went out of his way to emaciate himself and to live in or put himself in the sewer and drag those guys down there, and to pick his two best crew members, I guess, to have his back while he's infiltrating the vampire house, and that would be Count Rapula,
Right,
and Carol, who is the most terrifying vampire I have ever seen on television. And I was okay with it, this anglerfish face that she had, until I noticed she could blink. And for some reason, that made it too weird for me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, as far as we knew, those were the only two that survived the explosion until later on. We realize he's got the rest of his crew during the bat fight. Wesley Sykes.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah, it was Wesley Sykes, Ken the accountant, Elvis, and Neil, Patrick, and Harris, which were a trio of blonde young guys.
That one made me laugh. I really I was upset that Elvis had turned, and so I was a little mad. But then when he introduced Neil, Patrick, and Harris, I was like, all is forgiven.
Yeah. So that was the big thing. We don't know really what's up with the stupid hat. Lazlo doesn't seem to face bad luck when he's got it.
He got hit by so many cars, and he's just fine. He let it roll off his back the same way that he rolled off those hoods.
Wait, no, wasn't that Simon that stole the hat and bounced off all the cars?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Once it finally came out that he was truly after the hat, Lazlo zipped out and back to go fetch the hat and wear it mockingly. Then Simon zipped it off his head, and I think took it to the front door. And then I think Lazlo got it from the front door and took it out into the middle of the street. I could have sworn, it was hard to tell by this point.
Okay.
It's very dark. But I could have sworn it was Lazlo bouncing around on the hoods of those cars. Like, Simon got hit first.
Right.
Lazlo was
the one that was
being
bouncing.
juggled by them because Nadja was like, look at yourself, man. Like, you're out in the street getting run under by all these vehicles.
Right. If anybody in chat wants to clarify, maybe they actually know, and don't just go on Kevin's side or my side. We want you to actually let us know who was it that actually was bouncing off the cars. In the meantime, we've got Colin. Yes.
Sorry, Billie Jean brings up a good point. It was hard to tell who was in the fight because most of it, they were bats.
Oh yeah. It usually, we know in movies and TV shows, there's always a color or something that kind of helps differentiate different teams or different groups of people. In this one, they were just bats. I get it.
Okay, but yeah, back to the fight you were mentioning.
Yeah. Oh, we'll say Billie Jean says Lazlo was the one that got hit by all the cars.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. I sit corrected or incorrected, one of those two.
You're just trying to upset the commenters.
I am. Let's go on to Colin, who's got multiple computers. He's draining people of their energy via social media. This is real life. This is real life.
I mean, that's something Taika does. He comes up with these farcical nonsense magic worlds, but he'll find a way to get a little bit of socio-political commentary mixed in. And it's always something you can't deny. So yeah, he's like the whole internet troll and fake accounts designed entirely to upset strangers. Right. Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah. So I love how Colin finds a human nerd stealing his food. It turns out it's a troll by the name of Norman Huell.
Norman Huell. Okay, there was something about that name that made me think normal human, and I feel like it's kind of an anagram.
Right
there.
Oh, right, especially because he's actually a troll in real life.
Yeah. But after last episode, meeting Jim the vampire, just normal human bartender and all that stuff, I assumed it was the same joke. That okay, so Norman Huell is a normal human, but it's really another energy vampire. I could have sworn there were two energy vampires feeding off each other. I somehow never predicted it was an actual troll trolling him.
But I wonder, was the troll actually looking to steal energy, or was he just telling Colin that he was a dick?
Well, Colin was, in fact, being a dick. He was blatantly, obtusely being a dick and not saying things he actually meant. He was doing the stuff that he knew would piss off people, making racist comments, false statistics, and infactual statements all over.
Yeah.
So if he was being opposed by someone, I can only imagine it was someone trying to right Colin's wrongs. Or this could be in troll nature, which was probably an offensive statement for me to say, but that was a possibility.
Right. So we know something. We know that trolls troll, but they can't compete with somebody like Colin. And we don't know if Colin, where he ranks on other energy vampires. We don't know if he's excellent at his craft or he's just normal at his craft, but he certainly took the troll down, if you will.
There's something I never considered until you just now mentioned that. One thing I've been noticing more about this show, this season especially, is how each vampire is unique. Carol certainly was a different kind of vampire than, say, the Baron or the members of the household. And we know from that Lazlo has his skill set. Nadja can climb walls better than most. So everyone's a little bit unique. And I never considered that it might be the same for energy vampires. Because Colin proved himself super powerful, but maybe his niche is dad jokes or stupid one-liners from The Office, whereas internet trolling may be a specialty of a different energy vampire.
Interesting. It's a whole world we'll have to explore later on. The big reveal though is Nandor. Well, first Carol knows that Guillermo is a vampire slayer. So Guillermo kills her, but then Nandor
stumbles right into it.
Yeah. I don't know if either of us called that.
I did. I definitely did not. You would ask me this question, and I thought that Colin would be the first one to be in the room when it happened and just not really pay it any mind, and that Lazlo would be the one to actually make a note of it.
Right.
But in fact, it was Nandor, his master. So I was completely wrong on that.
Yeah, which was amazing because I had my jaw open when Nandor's kind of looking over at him and you're like, oh. But what's funny is Nandor doesn't react like, oh my gosh, I need to kill you or something. He didn't put that together.
This Carol-shaped pile of dust.
Yeah. It was an inconvenience that there was dust in the shape of Carol on the ground.
Well, and also when he was like, did you kill Carol? Yes, master. And he was, genuinely broken up and feel guilty about it.
Right.
And so I'm sure that Nandor took note of that, but assumed that his emotional state was because it was his first time and it was definitely an accident.
Right.
So it was this kind of like, well, don't let it happen again.
Yeah.
And try not to mention it to anyone because this is frowned upon by the community. He has no idea the scale that they would be upset at.
So I'm curious where this is going to go from here now.
Well, I don't want to make any more predictions because I was dead wrong about the last one, but now Nandor is going to be the one who it can be suspicious of his actions because at the end of the episode, when he was referring to the sinking ship of Simon the Devious, he was like, "Is he going to drown? Why are you so interested to stick around and find out?" So that's always going to be on the back of Nandor's mind, and it might just slowly whittle away at Guillermo. We'll see.
Yeah, I love this episode. It's a great season. Definitely makes me want to watch the original movie, feature length version of the movie again.
Oh yeah, this show is. I was telling friends of mine who have discovered the show recently and love it, that it's a miracle this show lives up to the movie. That's super rare that something like that happens. And it, without overshadowing it, it just makes me want to appreciate them all as a set.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it was a planned continuation. So, all right. Well, Billie Jean says that that they predicted that Nandor was going to catch Guillermo. So, Kevin and Lauren, goodbye. You're out of here. Billie Jean is the new host. All right. Until then, though, let's move on to Kevin's favorite time of the show, news.
Yeah, I actually have a few things to tout today. So our guest actor on this last episode, Nick Kroll, he's been in the spotlight a lot recently, which, considering quarantine state, is making 3 appearances in the course of a week is being out there a lot. He just appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, just doing a skit regarding the Chicago Bulls security guard from the Michael Jordan documentary that's been making its way around. On Monday night, he appeared on The Late Show, I believe it's himself, with Seth Meyers. And last week, he was on HLN talking to a CNN anchor, discussing his podcast he does with John Mulaney, the Oh Hello, the Podcast. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And by their methods of using the podcast in order to raise money for the United Way in New York City, as well as Off the Plate, which is a branch of the World Central Kitchen charity for restaurants and first responders. So he's doing a lot of stuff right now. His podcast is still going, and he's trying to use all of this time to promote the charities to help out with this quarantine crisis. And I thought that was definitely worth noting. Also, just a reminder that Natasia Demetriou's back on television, not just for this show, but also with the new Netflix series, The Big Flower Fight. I had mentioned it was basically the Great British Bake Off for floral arrangements. And she said in an interview recently that she is the Paul Hollywood of flower arranging. So that's now available for you to watch.
It's amazing how many shows are out of baking, cooking, flowers, floral arrangements.
And I've had 3 people this week, in the past 2 days actually, mention their new garden setup to me. So yeah, everyone's baking, everyone's growing stuff, and it's great to have these shows as reference.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you very much for sharing that news. Let's go on to special segment. I call it What We Do in TV and Movies. These are overlooked vampire-themed movies and shows. I teased this one last week. This is from 1995, starring Eddie Murphy, Vampire in Brooklyn. I have not seen this movie before, but just got an email from my new friend Stars, since my wife and I signed up to watch the latest 2 seasons of Outlander. And what were one of the movies on there? Vampire in Brooklyn. So now I think I'm going to watch the movie. It's an American comedy horror film directed by Wes Craven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Eddie Murphy produced and stars in this film. He wrote the script alongside Vernon Lynch and Murphy's older brother, Charlie Murphy. Also, Angela Bassett is in it. Murphy is a vampire named Maximilian who arrives in Brooklyn on a ship full of people who have been brutally murdered. One of the corpses on board closely resembles that of Rita, Angela Bassett, one of the detectives assigned to the case. The movie got negative reviews. It didn't do well. Wes Craven, you know, we know him in the horror genre, but we don't know him in the comedy genre. So perhaps it was a bit of misstep. You know, some might say it was a misstep of trying to get him to do Eddie Murphy style comedy. It could be the script didn't work in that kind of genre. But the movie has since been called a cult classic.
Okay.
So
that seems fitting.
Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 10%. The audience gives it a 31%. So that doesn't make a good case now that I've said it out loud for my wife to agree to watch it with me. But it's research. So,
well, and if this show, What We Do in the Shadows, has anything to say about it, being a vampire in Brooklyn is far superior than being a vampire in Staten Island.
Yes, even Manhattan, you know, if you're Nick Kroll.
That's right. Well, they're just like, oh, I've had to live down here. Oh, in the sewers? No, in Staten Island.
I know. All right. Well, before we wrap up, let's go to that thing that we like to call predictions. All right.
Now,
predictions. Kevin, are you ready? Because I'm still trying to formulate.
No, I'm not necessarily ready, but I'm going to say one more thing to stall. In that there was a kind of related to news. There was a Forbes article I've been seeing going around this week with the headline, "Everyone is just now figuring out What We Do in the Shadows is the funniest show on TV." I read the article. The headline does the best job of summarizing my thoughts on the show. And I've seen lots of people post this and come out of the woodwork to be like, oh my God, yes, it's great. It's great. Best show. I'm loving each episode. And I was unaware that this show was going unappreciated, but I'm really glad to see that people are jumping on to the bandwagon, even if it's in the middle of season 2. And with that in mind, that is my very long segue of saying that I don't expect that the show is going to be changing things up a lot. I feel like that Guillermo is not going to be ousted as a vampire hunter, that they're going to kind of dance around these things for a while, but I don't see any real big changes happening on the show. One of the things that I love about the show is it's just a twist, a slight twist of the movie. In season 1, it kind of seemed like it was retreading the same territory, but it just kept twisting little by little by little by little, but in a way that made every episode feel fresh and new. And I feel like they're still doing that. Each episode is just one little thing that kind of resets by the end, but somehow feels exciting and unheard of before. So I can't predict a single thing. I just can't.
Yeah. Now, I would have normally disagreed and thought that the house would learn that Guillermo was a vampire killer, but I think their reactions would be just like Nandor's, where it's not us that we have to worry about. It's everybody else that we have to worry. We have to worry about what the Vampire Council is going to think of all this. Now, how do we hide Guillermo while still doing our bidding around the house?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Billie Jean just popped up on the chat. I don't know if you're seeing this as well, but she predicts that things with Nandor and Guillermo are going to get awkward now, which I didn't kind of say a little bit earlier, so I'm going to have to agree with that. But that Guillermo is going to have to leave to find a new master, and I don't know. I would love to see him find better waters, but I just don't think he's that type of person. I feel like he would have done it by now.
Yeah, and I think Nandor just for sheer laziness keeps Guillermo around, but never really wants to go find somebody else. I mean, that would certainly be a funny episode if for some reason Guillermo was out of the picture during, for whatever reason, and Nandor's now looking for a new familiar?
That would be good. I feel like that ties into what I was saying earlier about the show kind of it dips its toe into familiar territory with the whole like I need to find a new assistant. Oh, and Guillermo, I never realized how much I appreciated you till now kind of episode I've seen on television a lot. But this show would just give that little bit of a twist to make it feel really interesting and funny.
Right. Now
so, I'd enjoy seeing that.
Yeah, there's one more former pop culture person besides Elvis that Art Master Austin really wants us to talk about, and that would be Marilyn Monroe as a vampire. My wife is a huge Marilyn fan, and so that would be interesting to see Marilyn Monroe as a vampire. Would she be a vampire? I think she might arrive as somebody else. I'm wondering, as a werewolf, as some kind of other creature.
I don't know why. I mean, Austin has just as much say in this as I do, because I'm not basing this on anything. But there's nothing about Marilyn that suggests vampire to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when there was Vampire Elvis, I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. He would wear flashy costumes and big pop collars and such. That's just the vampire way. That's the way of Elvis as well. So of course it would overlap. But Marilyn never struck me as having any vampiric behavior. She was never regarded as a vamp in that era of Hollywood. Not to say that she couldn't do it. I mean, we could get the whole Dead Celebrity Island and have them be secret vampires. That would be fun. But
right, if anything, if we remember the movie Young Frankenstein from 1974, Madeline Kahn could possibly see a Marilyn in that kind of character, kind of a Frankenstein-esque, if you will. The bride of
the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, the bride of. So
I can see that.
So all right, we could talk about this for minutes, and I think we have. Kevin, we have 2 more episodes left in the season. The next one is called Collaboration. The last one is called Witches. So I don't necessarily see something that screams Guillermo out of the picture. Let's find a new familiar.
No, but now that you mention it, that hat's going to make another appearance. I just know it will. It won't leave. The witches are going to come for their hat.
I'm waiting for a Pop Funko little doll where we've got the hat. That would be great.
Oh, God, no. No, because my girlfriend will have to get it, and then I'll have to have that in my home.
Sweet.
And all the bad luck that comes with it. No, it's not sweet. Lauren, welcome. Simon and Lazlo need to learn that hat is not good for you.
All right. With that being said, Kevin, where can people find you on the socials?
Oh boy. You guys can find me on Instagram at Kevin Allegram, Twitter at Kevin Allen Says, and in just over an hour, I will be covering What We Do Fort Salem's finale episode, a show about witches. And now I'm all nervous.
Got it. And you can find me on the Instagrams at Lauren Kling, LORENKLING. Send me sketches of what you think this Pop Funko doll would look like with the hat, so we can send it to Kevin. And that will be
want them to make a What We Do in the Shadows line, though. That needs to happen.
That would be fun. But from all of us at AfterBuzz TV, thank you so much for watching. We've got so many different programs and after shows for them. Check those out at AfterBuzzTV.com. Bye, everybody.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.